Okay, so today we're going to be looking at job templates. For anyone that's new, we're going to look at the spreadsheet that you guys will be given to fill out for us to get into the system. I'll take you guys through kind of a couple maybe different edits and changes that you can be making in the back end, and just any sort of general ideas that surround job templates. So starting off with, if you guys have a new site on your Trello board, there is a section called, I believe it's to do. Bear with me 1 second here. Yeah, it's a section called to do. And what that is everything that we are looking for you guys to complete and upload to Trello, and that way we can get it done for you. So in that to do section, there will be a enter job templates card. And on that card, there's going to be a spreadsheet that's called job templates sheet. So basically, what we're looking for in this is a general outline of sort of 80% of how you would run the certain job category. So if we're looking at brochures, let's say you run 80% of the brochures on the Next Press, then you would fill out that information on your brochures. If the stock that you run it on is an 80-pound gloss, oops, then you would apply that to your brochures. If your run size is 1218, you'd fill that in. If there's any department items attached to it, you would fill those in, etc. So you would basically do this in a fashion that when you insert this job template into a job, it's going to at least get you 80% of the way. So let's say when this is created, maybe when it's inserted into a job template, you're using a 100-pound gloss instead of 80-pound. Well, then you're only changing the stock as opposed to the press and the stock and the sizes and the department items. So essentially, this list is going to be filled with information for the templates that will be used to get you 80% of the way at least when you are entering a job into the system. So once you've gone through and filled out all of this information, you can come in as well and delete it. So if you don't want to do bookmarks, you can get rid of the bookmarks. If you don't want to do calendars, you can get rid of calendars. Oops. If you'd like to add certain jobs that you don't see on the list, you can definitely add those in. And basically just fill out as much information as possible. And then what you'll do is you'll upload that back onto that Trello card, and we will get it into the system for you. So does anyone have any questions about creating this list? I'm going to open everyone's mic now, and we can address any questions about creating this job template sheet.
This is Robin. Sorry. I have a question about department items. Can we add multiple department items into the template?
Yeah. So maybe you have maybe a slip sheeting in there. Just give us as much information as possible, and then whatever you have in here will attach to it when we're entering it into the system.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay. So I'm going to mute everyone again. So once we get this list, we will go into the back end of Docket Manager, into the settings here, and into the job templates. This is where all those jobs will be held. Now, the system comes with, I think it's around 4,500 to 5,500 standard templates. Those will all be held within these categories that you see on the list here. let's take, for example, the 8.5 by 11 brochures. If we look at our job templates, we can go search by group. Let's look for brochures. And we know the name is 8.5 by 11. I only have a copy. Let's try the 1117. Okay, let's try something else. So we'll look at, let's just say this is the 8.5 by 11s. Based on the list that we get from you guys, all of these options that are in this group will exist as a basis of the information that we get from this sheet. So this is going to be a blanket statement saying that any 8.5 by 11 brochure, regardless of whether it's 1/3, 3/2, full color, black, any of those are going to be run based on the specs that you give us here. If it's a scenario, a lot of times nowadays, customers are not so concerned about single colors just because it's a bit of a movement from offset to digital work. We can actually delete or inactivate any of these template options. So the way you have to kind of look at job templates is the group, which is 8.5 by 11, has many options within it. So the options are sort of like the items in an order, and the group is sort of the order itself. So the template options comprise the group. So as you can see, you can have a variety of different options in that group of templates. So it doesn't have to be organized like you guys see here. This just happens to be organized by name, and name being 1/1, 2/2, full color over black. It could be that you name it by stock. So instead of having the options by color, you have it by stock. So maybe you have 80-pound full color stock or option, an 80-pound black only option, a 100-pound full color option, a 100-pound black only option. The hierarchy can be organized however you guys want and whatever you guys are most comfortable with taking a look at when you're actually in the system. So for example, what we could do, if we were to say, say we are mostly a digital shop and we're only concerned about jobs that are four color and black, we can get rid of all these templates by inactivating them. And there's two ways to do such. If we go to our job templates and we look up the 8.5 by 11 category, this is the first way that you can get rid of all the options that you don't want to see. So like I said, say we only want to see full color and black options. What we can do is we can highlight all these, and what that's doing is selecting everything of these 49 entries that we're going to be basically inactivating. So we want to leave the ones that we don't want to inactivate. So we don't want to inactivate the 4/4, the 4/4 bleed. We don't want to inactivate the black over black or the black over black bleed. And we also don't want to inactivate the black over 4 and the black over 4 bleed. So that's going to give us all the options that we want to actually see. So now that we've got all these ones checked off that we want to get rid of, did that not work? Sorry, bear with me 1 second. I think just because I'm on a demo site, my option isn't working, but regardless, this is going to be the function of getting rid of these options that you don't want to see. A lot of people make a mistake of hitting this inactivate button from this screen. You don't want to do that. What that will do is get rid of this entire 8.5 by 11 group. So if you don't want to see any 8.5 by 11 brochures, yes, you could click on this inactivate button. But if we want to get rid of only certain options, we have to go bulk actions, templates, up to this active button, select no, and then we would have to save that. And that would get rid of the options and not the entire group. If you happen to make the mistake of getting rid of the entire group, you can select the active templates to no and hit search. And what that'll do is they'll bring them back, and you'll be able to reactivate them the exact same way. So that was one way that you can get rid of them. Again, that was highlight the ones that you don't want, bulk actions, templates, active, no, save. I would do it, but like I said, this is a demo site, and I think a little of the data is just a little funny still. So cancel that. The other way we can get rid of options, and sometimes the way I suggest to new folks, is to go right into the group itself. So that way it kind of eliminates getting rid of anything that's not an 8.5 by 11 brochure option. So if we were to go into, click on this name, that's going to take us to the 8.5 by 11 edit page. And then in this screen here, we'll see all our options. From this menu, we can also perform the inactivate in the same function. We can highlight, and then we'll check off the ones that we don't want. And then in this menu, at this level, we can inactivate this. So this menu would inactivate the options that we've got checked off. Does anyone have any? I'm going to unmute everyone again, and anyone can ask any questions about getting rid of options that they don't want to see. Yeah. Questions about using options? Is everyone pretty clear on inactivating the options? Okay, well, like I said, it's going to be recorded. So obviously, if you have any questions and want to follow along, you can definitely pull up the video after all is said and done. Mute everyone again. So now what we can maybe do is look at starting a template from scratch. So let's say we want to create a new template. We don't have anything for yard signs. We do have signs, but we don't have yard signs. We want to create one specifically for yard signs. So what we can do is go new. We'll name it yard signs. It is active. The group that it's going to belong to will likely be signs. And pricing method will be standard. And now we can create our options. So let's say we want to create a 12 by 24 option that is one-sided. It is active. It does belong to the yard signs template that we just created. We can give it a description. If we have stock, we can add that in. So let's take a look if we've got some Coroplast stock here. Let's just see if we've got any kind of board. See if we've got a board of some kind. There we go. Here we go. Let's just add that in. And now our stock's in there. You can choose whether to match grain, whether it's outdoor stock, any pre-cutting, the run size we can include. Oops. And we know our flat size is going to be 12 by 24. And I believe we can theoretically get 12 up on a sheet, if I'm not mistaken. Basically fill out as much information as you can. The idea being that when you insert this template, you have to touch it as little as possible. And it's going to be basically a couple clicks from good to go. So we'll fill out all our information. We'll save that. And then once you save it, you'll have access to the more detailed information. You'll be able to tell it which press you're running it on. You can include a specific rate for just this sign. So let's say maybe we have a discounted rate on that press for running yard signs. We can say maybe it's $50 an hour. This is just single-sided, so we'll leave it at side 1. We can give it the price per square foot here. If you've got special pricing per square foot, you can put that in. Save your press information. Again, you can attach any department items to this template, include any notes. If you've got template pricing, meaning you know you're going to be charging one for $25, 5 for $10 a piece, and then anything up to 50, you're going to be charging $7.50 per piece. You can put that pricing in here. And if you're pricing by template, it's going to pull from this table. So if you had 3 signs, it would be charging $25 by 3. If you were calculating by press, it would pull all the information based on the press definitions for the side text, as well as look at any possible overrides that you've put in here, and then price the job that way. But we want to calculate by template because these are set pricing. And then very lastly, you have to make sure you have a default quantity in the order. If you don't have the default quantity in and you try and insert it into an order, it's going to give you a null error, and you'll get the red bar up at the top here that says the template cannot be inserted. So if something like that happens, maybe take a look at your template and make sure you've got a default quantity in here. So we'll just say that the default quantity is 1. So not only do you have to have the quantity in there, you have to make sure you select the quantity. When you've got it selected, it'll show up as highlighted in yellow. So our template has been created. Does anyone have any questions about creating a template from scratch? Everyone okay with where we are so far? Okay, we'll move on. And what we can do is sort of a quick way to duplicate. So let's say now we want to create a yard sign template for 24 by 36 signs. What we can do is use the breadcrumbs to get back to our group, which is now showing that one that we just created. We can come in here, we can duplicate it, and then it's going to be as simple as you've already got 95% of the information in there. You'll come in here and you'll rename it 24 by 36, save that. We'll change our sizes. I think we can only get 4 on or something. Make all our alterations that we need to do, and then we can likely come down and edit our pricing. Likely easiest just to delete the old scale and put a new one in. So we'll say 1, it's going to be $50. 25 is going to be $30 each. And then up to 50 is going to be $20 each. And now we've essentially created a second template, and I think that took about 30 seconds to do. So creating the templates is extremely easy. Once you do one, you sort of get the hang of it and are able to do a couple really quick. And obviously, we try and push the templates as much as possible because, like we say, that they're going to get you at least 80% of the way when you're inserting that template into a job. Odds are, yes, you'll likely have to switch 1 or 2 things, but most of your information is already going to be there. And the more information you give the template, the less you have to edit in the end. Does anyone have any questions about duplicating templates? Also, if you'd like to duplicate an entire group, let's just find a group that we could maybe duplicate. Maybe we want to create 12 by 18 cards that doesn't exist in the system, or something that doesn't exist. We can come into a group. And we can also duplicate the whole thing. So we just, at this level, we can hit duplicate. And now you'll notice we'll have a copy group, where we can just go into that group itself and rename it. So maybe we want to name this 2 by 8.5 cards. Now we've already got this 2 by 8.5 group created, and we've got all these options. Now, one of the extremely handy features through the system is the bulk actions. So we can now make changes. Obviously, our flat and finish size is not 8.5 by 11 anymore, so we can make changes using the bulk actions, which is as simple as highlighting everything, go into your bulk actions templates. You'll get a variety of things that pop up, and then you can change the sizes both individually and entirely. So if you just change this to a 12 and only that's checked off, then it's only going to update the width and not the length. But if we update the length, and we know that's going to be 2 by 8, we can also maybe we want to change the press that it's being run on. We can change it to, let's just say we change it to the Heidelberg or whatever it might be, and then we can save all that. And now every single one of those options has been changed. So the bulk actions is a really handy tool to quickly update all the templates. You can also do stocks. You can add quantities. And we've got a new feature coming out that is going to be adding and removing department items. So the bulk actions is a really handy tool when you know how to use it. And that can be taken one step further. Let's go back to our standard job template screen. Let's say every single brochure that we have needs to have a certain department item added to it. We could make sure we're showing all the entries. So we're showing 1 to 205 of 205. We could click bulk actions and add the department item to every single one of the brochures, as opposed to doing it to the group alone. So this would do it to all the brochures. Does anyone have any questions about how the bulk actions works and ways to change anything via the bulk actions? You'll see the bulk actions button a lot throughout the system. Like I said, you can change the stocks as well. So let's say we want to change this to a blanket 100-pound gloss. We can go to bulk action stocks. We can look for 100-pound 12 by 18. And there's a gloss there, so we can just add that in. And now all of our brochures are using the 100-pound gloss stock. So is everyone pretty clear on the bulk actions? Does anyone have any questions so far about job templates and how they're used in the system in the back end and editing? It's likely, for anyone new, it's likely a lot of information to look at. But you'll likely have to look at the video a couple times. But the important part is when you're filling out the templates to include pricing if you got it, and as well just give it as much information as possible. Does anyone have any questions about the job templates?
Okay, in regards to that office role, try to get an answer by